Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. My name's David and this is my channel. Today's video, we could talk about that one truth. This truth by itself will set you free. This truth will allow you to take your power back. So as I talk about this truth, first of all, I get that there could be some kickback from our mind from understanding this. So I'll put that disclaimer out there first and foremost, that you might get some kickback from that mind activity letting you know this can't be true and so forth and so on. But I've learned in my life that the mind is ridiculous. In other words, it's completely insane simply because it's never in the present moment. It's always somewhere else, and it's always looking for something that doesn't exist. So it could be tricky to turn off, or rather start debunking that mind. It took me a long time to just ignore it until it was no longer a threat for me. So I have compassion for all of you that's still going on. I know that could be quite difficult. However, from the present moment, from the now moment, is your escape from it, because that's where it cannot go. And being the eternal soul that we all are, it is possible to see the truth in a high light and then make that change in your life. So what is this truth? Well, the truth is that you're never upset or happy for the reason that you think. Now that's really, really important. If you look at it like this, is we have fear on one side and we have love on the other side. Now, every relationship, this world is full of relationships. Just make it simple, right? I mean, rather if I'm drinking a cup of coffee, I'm in a relationship with my coffee. If I'm talking to someone, I'm in a relationship with them. I'm always in a state of a relationship, even if it's just the place that I'm at, or the weather, or the moon, or the sun, or my shirt. There's a feeling of a relationship that's going on. Now, the truth is that this world is not real, that it is a grand illusion. We've heard this before, but the experience of it is real. So the more you understand that the world is not real, it is coming from within. It is a projection of your mind. But the experience of it is real. Now, the mind activity, that ego mind says, no, it's real. And I get that. And that switch between those two took me quite some time to get used to as well. And I completely understand any kind of fear that comes from that. But the more we switch from an outside to an inside, there's a nice, beautiful shift that happens. And there might be a little bit of rough times in between, but once you get there, it becomes pretty blissful. So I'll start with this not a dream, but it was a type of dream that happened to me, but it held a message. And what happened is I was in the ship, or I was watching the ship, and it was a small, like a drone ship that someone can sit in, two people, but the ship itself can move very fast, kind of like we see and we think of when we think of extraterrestrial ships. Phew, 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 and zipping around and spinning and so forth and so on. But even though it was spinning and moving, the seats were designed in such a way where they would stay straight. So the whole thing would move around and you would stay completely still. Does that make sense? The message when I woke up was clear, what it was trying to tell me. That my guides were saying, Dave, that there's a lot of stuff going on around you. And there's a lot of change that's going on. But there's still the changelessness that you are, and you never shift. You are still that changeless part. So you can allow all of that mess, all of that craziness, that confusion to go around. Because within the confusion, there's always clarity that must be present. Now, that was such a... I can't tell you, I was just so relieved and relaxed and when I understood that. And that's the idea of being the witness. You can walk around the whole world and just witness it because there's nothing actually happening. It's not real. Nothing can hurt you. You are unhurtable. You are invulnerable. So every relationship that we are in, because it's not a real thing, it has to be used based on the connection to your source. So we are connected to our source. And at the higher level of higher vibration, we're happy, we're joyful, and we're blissful. And in the lower vibration, we're feeling kind of frustrated and angry, or even fearful and afraid or sad. Now, we use this emotion, or rather this relationship to the all in everything we experience. And that's the key to understand this, is that no matter what relationship I'm in, I have to use this relationship to my source in order to experience it. Now that, you have to kind of sit with that. That means that if you're loving the roller coaster, you're using the roller coaster in order to love your source. If you're with someone and you really love them and you're appreciating them and you're intimate with them, believe it or not, you're more intimate with your source. You're using your source to find the intimacy with them. It's not coming from them. We are all one. Do you see? If you hate someone, then you're separating from your source when you're around them, and that's why you feel the hate towards them. If you're having pain in your body, even pain in the body doesn't have the ability to hurt us. So the pain in the body is using the body to separate from our source. So the separation from the source in the lower realms will feel like negative emotion. And that negative emotion pent up over a long period of time will turn into what we call pain. There is no physical pain. There's just separation from our source and then being realized or experienced in the form of pain. And anxiety, it's using the environment or something in front of you, the illusion, in such a real way, believing it's real so much that you're separating from your source in the process of it. It's almost like, if you can imagine, you're in a simulator, so to speak, and you believe the simulator is real. So now all of a sudden, you're starting to breathe heavy and so forth and so on. So the reality is so real that it gets us afraid, makes us afraid of what we're experiencing, even though there's nothing really going on. So that truth and understanding of just, you are free. If you could believe it, you could just open your eyes and everything would be gone. You're free. There's nothing happening here. There's nothing that can hurt you. You are safe. You are safe. It is an illusion. When you realize this, and you realize that when you use a form to feel a certain way, then this is what Jesus meant when he said idols. Bashar talks about this in permission slips. You're using that to feel a certain way. Now, let's just talk about how it really works. The truth is that your pure positive energy of your source, if you can imagine, it kind of comes in and it's always flowing into you, and then it's filtering through your belief systems and your ideas of yourself, so to speak. And it brings it down into, it brings it like filtering through a colander or something. And then that then extends out into your world and creates your world. There's nothing out there. It's all coming from within. Pure positive energy flows through me. And then it comes through my belief systems and how I feel. And then it creates the world that I see. The world is created 100% by you. Every single thing in it is interpreted. And that's the idea of the interpretation. That pure positive energy moves through you and you interpret it into reality. Now, when we understand that, then the more we don't have those crazy belief systems and definitions and we start losing them, then as that pure positive energy comes in, we'll become one. As we become one, then this world will transform into something different for you. Now the illusion, the idea of the reason you're here will start serving you. Fun and joy and flowing. It was never meant to scare you. It was meant to serve you in a wonderful, loving, beautiful, because there's nothing better than being physical. But we don't have to take it so seriously and get caught up in the ship. You see, all of a sudden now the center can't move around it because there's no peace. Does that make sense? So our relationships are upending us, so to speak, and getting us all routed up. Now, with that idea, now think about how the mind tells you that it is. The mind says there are separate things out there that have the ability to tell you how to feel. We all know that how you feel is the most important thing. I mean, right? Abraham Hicks talks about it all the time. You don't want the money, you want the feeling of the money. You don't want the person, you want the feeling of the security and the love and the intimacy. We want feeling. So now that mind says that this makes me feel this way. If I eat this food, I can enjoy it. Well, let's see how the food's going to taste. It tells us that there's an outside telling us what to feel. Man, this person really makes me feel this way. Feel good. I love you because you make me feel good. I don't like you because you don't make me feel good. That picture over there, it's not too good. It makes me feel this way. Think about how much we walk around saying, you make me feel, you being inanimate objects, places, people, body. You make me feel. And we kind of hide the soul. You can't really find it because the soul's too busy somewhere blaming everything outside of itself. Because regardless of that, you make me feel good, it's you. And you make me feel bad, it's you. And this is what needs to be seen. This is probably the biggest thing to understand in order to really, truly wake us up from the dream, so to speak, is that nothing is making you feel anything. There's no loss. There's no lack. There's no pain. There's no suffering. As we look out in the world and say, you make me feel, it's not true. We are deciding how to feel. And then from the decision of connection to our source or down here, that person, that place, that thing is going to magically come back to us in a form to match where our vibration is. This is why if you look at a picture and you say, I'm going to feel amazing, I'm going to love it, I'm going to find something beautiful, and that picture is going to become radiant and it's going to glow. You see, because now you're taking your power back. You're realizing that you're putting in order to get back, not the other way around. Think about how the mind is telling you. We're literally walking around changing how we feel, which is our connection to the source that we are. We're allowing all these idols, all these things, and these people to tell us how to feel. That's like almost like being a robot, isn't it? We have no power that way. None. Only when you say, I decide how I feel. Because the world doesn't mean anything. The only thing that matters is that relationship between that pure positive energy and how much you're allowing in. It's a projection of pure power that's being dimmed down, and then the world becomes dim. You open up that and you match that, that world becomes bright and flowing and moving and glowing and beautiful and extraordinary. And it magically transforms and you won't see certain things that you thought you saw before. This is the relationship that matters. This is the illusion. And if we continue to use all the relationships between all the people and the places and the things in order to tell us how to feel, then we will just go up and down and so forth and so on. We won't even recognize it. But if you stop and say, you know what? Maybe Dave's not crazy. Perhaps I can just sit here and decide how I want to feel. And then take that feeling and put it into my world and see what happens. It won't take long before you'll see things transform. Things become more beautiful. Understanding that when you look at the rose and it smells so nice, guess what? It's coming from you, not from the rose. When you look at the sky and it's beautiful, it's coming from you, not from the sky. Even when you eat your steak and it tastes delicious, it's coming from you, not from the steak. And the more you recognize that, the more you'll start, I want to feel good. I want to feel good. I want to feel good. Like Abraham Hicks says, you got to feel good on purpose, unconditionally. And then the steak will taste better. Then the sky will be more beautiful. Then your relationships will be more rich. Not because of them, but because of you. You have made the decision to say, I want to connect first. I want to feel good regardless. I'm going to make sure that that crazy world can move around me, but I'm going to stay still. I'm going to stay still in who I am, and I'm not going to allow the world to tell me how to feel anymore. I'm going to take back my power starting right now by meditating, quieting the mind, recognizing that mind is not true ever. The past is not what you think. None of it is true. You just dismiss it all, and you go back to this moment. and you say, I want to feel good regardless. And I'm going to practice that no matter what. And anytime that mind comes in to tell me not to feel good, I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to allow things to hurt me anymore. I'm not going to allow any people, places, or things to deter me, to change my emotional continence. I'm going to feel good no matter what. This is how I started my journey. This is how I continue it. I'm going to feel good no matter what comes in, because I know that what's coming in is just a marriage of these two things. And if it comes back to me in a way that I don't like, it's because I wasn't there. And it does me no good to push against it because it's not coming from out there. So I go back and change how I feel. Change how I feel. Change how I feel. Take this with you. Ponder it carefully. Answer some of those crazy things that the mind's trying to tell you that I'm crazy and this is not true. And that's okay. And as always, it's up to you what you receive. My unconditional love to each one of you on this crazy journey of self-discovery. If you like, hit the like button and subscribe. And as always, my unconditional love and appreciation.